All right. Welcome to Teammates, my masterclass on the 5 transformational shifts for getting on the same team as your partner. My name is Ari Kardosh. Let's go ahead and receive a breath. We'll be doing this a lot together today. So I invite you to just close your eyes, put your feet flat on the floor, and go ahead and receive a breath in. And release the sigh or a yawn. Beautiful. When you're ready, you can open your eyes again. We'll be doing this a lot today. Whenever we take breaths, especially when we sigh, it tells our vagus nerve that it's okay to relax, that we're safe, that we can open ourselves to receiving new information. And one thing I really like to encourage everyone to do is, as you're listening to me speak or anyone speak, take what works for you and just let go of the rest. Okay. So let's see who's here in the room. Open your chat boxes, get your hands ready. You can raise your hands. So we'll just do some yeses and raising hands and type in the chat. Here we go. So if you are here because you love love, go ahead and drop a 1 in the chat. Who here loves love? Awesome. Awesome. Yep. Seeing a lot of people who love love. If you are here because you want more love, go ahead and drop a 2 in the chat. Yeah. I'm there too. Yeah, great. Okay, if you are here because you want to share more love, go ahead and drop a 3 in the chat. Got some 3s, got some 3s. Drop a 4 in the chat if you know that you can experience more love. Give me a 4. Any 4s up there? Yeah, nice, 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 nice. Awesome. And give me a 5 if you would like some help figuring out how to level up in love. Yeah, that's why we're here today, right? We're going to level up in love. Figure out how to be even closer teammates. All right. Next question, a little bit more tricky. There will probably be two answers on your screen you're going to give. The first question is what is your status right now? Are you dating? Drop a 1 if you're dating, 2 if you're engaged, 3 if you're married, and 4 if it's complicated. You can also be single and be here. That is absolutely welcome. But I'll be speaking to couples on this masterclass. But you'll still get a lot out of just hearing how people can be on the same team. All right, then after you've chosen, we've got a bunch. Okay, people are here they're dating, some engaged, some married, and yeah, it's okay if you're complicated too. It's all good. All right, cool. All right, now you're gonna choose a 5, 6, or 7 if you're together. If you passed the 5-year mark, drop a 5. Cool. Okay, if you've been together for more than 10 years, anybody here more than 10 years, drop a 6. Awesome. Wow. And if you've been here together, have you been together for more than 20 years, go ahead and drop a 7. Cool, cool, welcome. Wow, so much experience in the room. This is great. And let me be clear, it doesn't matter how long you've been together. You've been together for 2 months, 2 years, 20 years. The things I'm going to share, the shifts I'm going to share today are for everyone of all cultural backgrounds, of all relationship statuses, of all lengths of time you've been together. So you're in the right place. All right, let's do that thing and receive a breath together again. Go ahead and close your eyes. Take a breath. Beautiful. When you're ready, you can open your eyes again and join me. So just be really clear, my intention for this masterclass today is to show you that the best way to truly feel like you are on the same team again is to relearn love. And I'll be sharing more about that later on. At the end of this masterclass, I'm going to tell you more about my program for relearning love. So we'll get to that at the end if it feels alive for you. Let me tell you a little bit about myself if you don't know me. My name is Ari Kardosh. I have been a love and relationship geek pretty much my entire life. My background before taking this path was doing leadership development at Amazon.com. I got my business degree from the world's #1 international business school, and I really felt called to do this work. And when I started coaching my leaders at Amazon about personal issues, about how they're feeling lonely outside of the office, whether they were in partnership or their marriages were falling apart, I really found this connection to helping people discover how to be in healthy relationships and have healthy love. And when they were making those transformations at home and they'd bring it to work, that energy to work, things would just change. There was a ripple effect. They had so much new energy. They had so much more creativity. And so I watched the bedroom change how things were done in the boardroom. And I loved that. So I wanted more of it. So I went off and I started my own company called Wheeler and Love. Began speaking. I've spoken for some incredible organizations like Microsoft. And I've been consulting for some really cool educational institutions like MIT. I ended up writing a best-selling book called Relationship Agreements. My husband and I even have a chapter of our love story featured in Chicken Soup for the Soul, Miracle of Love. That's a little bit about me. Let me tell you, these are the words that my husband spoke to me about 5 years into our relationship. He said, "This relationship is no longer working for me." Even just remember that moment, I could feel my stomach collapsing in and my throat closing, and everything in me wanted to scream, "No, it's not true. Stop it. Don't even say that." But there was a part of me that knew it was true and knew it wasn't working for me either. How many of you have ever had this thought or something similar across your mind? Go ahead and drop a 1. Yeah. Yeah, it's so much more common than we like to talk about. Being in partnership is really hard. It can be really challenging. It can also be the opposite, be really nourishing. We just don't talk about it. And I want to be clear that even relationship coaches and therapists, and we go through our own struggles too. Being in relationship is hard. And when my husband spoke these words to me, it was such a moment of waking up. But let me rewind and tell you a little bit more about us and how we got there. So when we got into a partnership, like I always knew that externally I wanted a healthy long-term relationship. I knew that I wanted to be one of those couples that I loved, right? Like I wanted to, like there were couples out there that you just look up to and you're like, oh my gosh, how do they do it? I want to be like them. I knew I wanted to be one of those couples. It was important to me to emulate and show the world that everything is possible and that so much is possible through love. And on the behind the scenes, we were both doing our best, but at the same time, we had let some things get in the way. So our relationship in many ways had stagnated. It was becoming more meh, and we didn't really like it. We had slipped into some routines, like anybody here have a date routine? It's like we go to the same restaurant, we do a little movie, and then we fall asleep, or whatever your thing might be. We had fallen into those patterns and it wasn't great for us. And we started to realize that we had a lot of old stories, old beliefs, old crap we were just carrying around within ourselves about the other person and about this relationship. And we were not prioritizing our relationship. We were spreading our energies to a lot of places, which is fine, but we weren't making us the priority. So here we were busy with parenting and we got 2 amazing kids and we were like focused on that. And we were each running our own company and we were focused on that. And we each have our own passions. For me, it's kizomba dancing, partner dancing. And I was focused on that too. So it's like energies were going everywhere and we weren't making sure that our couple was the priority. We weren't making sure that we were really understanding that we're in each other's care as a team, which resulted in a bunch of stuff coming up for us because we all have old stuff. We all have old traumas. I say that some of us have capital T traumas. Some of us have lowercase t traumas. Just means something happened in our life that caused this rift in our development and our ability to feel like we are safe and that we can take care of ourselves and we are free to be authentically ourselves and it's going to be okay. We're still going to be loved. Something happened for all of us. And then we carry those stories forward into partnerships. So here I am in this meh place in my marriage. And I keep projecting all my old stuff on my partner, and he's doing it to me too. And usually only when we get triggered, but it's really, it can sneak in little ways in communication. It can sneak in little ways in how you talk to each other or don't talk to each other, how you touch each other or don't touch each other. It just kind of was building one step at a time. And I was starting to I feel like I was like walking on eggshells around him. That's what I did when I was little with my dad. And he was starting to feel not considered, which is what he did when he was little with his mom. Right. And so like these things were playing out and we didn't really understand how much they were playing out. And we kept on like, I've always, like I said, I've always loved geeking out about relationships. So I had tools up the wazoo. I had so many tools and we were using them, but we were not comprehending that we were using them like Band-Aids. And this was a deep wound that needed surgery. And we didn't know how to do the surgery. And it would take us a while to figure that out. So we kept on sweeping things under the rug. We kept on, finding these little things were off and we'd still sweep them under the rug. We didn't know how to deal with them. Sometimes big things were off and we'd still sweep it under the rug until the point when we hit this wall. Like we were doing our best and our best wasn't good enough. And something had to shift. And that's the moment when Jamin and I were sitting on our bed. And I remember it so clearly. The kids were out playing. I was sitting there and he looked at me with such sadness in his eyes and wisdom. And it wasn't an easy thing for him to speak. And my stomach just up in knots. My throat closed. Part of me wanted to scream and run away or to fight. Like, they're wrong. You're wrong. But that piece of me knew that he was right, that he was speaking truth. That this version of our relationship was no longer working for us. It wasn't working for me. It wasn't working for him. It wasn't working for our family. And that's when we knew that something really, really had to shift. And I felt like a failure. And we had checked all those boxes for partnership. We'd done all this work, and yet we still felt lonely, even though we were sitting in the same bed together. So we knew that something had to give because we also knew that we loved each other. Like, I love you. Why isn't this working? Why don't I feel like I'm on the same team as you anymore? And that's when we just knew we had to do something dramatically different. So let me give you a little bit of backstory. Jamin and I are in what we call a conscious relationship. We do a lot of things that are a little bit weird and not mainstream. And we very intentionally choose what works best for us in our partnership. And so one of the weird things we've done is we have chosen not to have in our wedding vows until death do us part. Because if you look at it statistically, it's about 50% of the time a lie. If you look at the divorce rates, we're like, that doesn't feel authentic to us. We don't know for sure that we can commit to being married and being in love with each other forever. It's just not a commitment that most people can make. So we wanted to be truthful and honest and intentional and clear on what we could commit to. And we made it a conscious choice to commit to being together so long as it served our highest good and we were growing together. And we did. We did that for many years. We got married 5 times. So every calendar year we would choose to get remarried. And we did everything from our own unique version of a wedding in the high mountains of Santa Fe to high deserts of Santa Fe to a Balinese wedding, a traditional Balinese wedding, to eloping, to getting legally married on a ferry outside of Seattle wearing fake animal fur, to a Hindu wedding. So at this point, when he told me that this version of our relationship was no longer working for him, we'd been married 5 times. And it was coming up upon that time for us to decide, do we want to get remarried again or not? Is this actually serving us? So we had some really big decisions to make and we created a plan together. We decided we'd set out, we try to figure out, okay, well, if we're using all these tools and we're figuring all this, why isn't this working? What needs to shift for us? And we did a lot of personal work. We really dug into our own shadows, our own traumas, our own histories, and figuring out a lot of things about what we call them family of origin, where these ideas are, where we originally learned about love and relationships. And with that information, we learned so much. We uncovered so much about ourselves and about each other and about this relationship we'd built Like we built this thing, right? And now we needed to learn more about what we had built together, because all the little approaches we've been taking weren't enough. We really needed to figure out how we could be in partnership together and feel free to be ourselves and safe to be ourselves and still be loved and still love each other and really, truly be on the same team. But again, even though we had this plan, it doesn't mean that it just works out. There was still this time pressure that we felt, and it was there on our from each of us, like ourselves. We were putting that pressure there, but we wanted to figure it out, and we wanted to do it hopefully before the calendar year ended, because we wanted to know if we were going to get remarried this year or not. And even though we had the best intentions, and we were working with some of the top coaches, and we were reading all the new relationship books, and we were going to the retreats, and even though we were doing all this, it was still just not enough, and we felt this pressure. So it was amazing. We had this clarity that we had to do something drastic and something that we had never experienced before. We're going to create something totally new. And we decided to do a relationship death ritual. Sounds a little crazy. It was exactly what we needed. And I felt super called to go to the base of this volcano and have a ceremony there. Now, we live in Bali, Indonesia. That's where we're raising our children, and we love it here. And so we went to this volcano, and we invited 2 of our closest friends to come with us as witnesses. We didn't know it was going to happen. It felt a lot like it felt like a lot of like grief and mourning of like, oh my gosh, we have to let this go. And with all the work we've been doing, all the things we've been learning, we brought these pieces of paper, kind of like wedding vows, but different, where we each took ownership of how we had contributed to the relationship getting to the point it was, what wasn't working for us, all the things that we were ready to just let go of. And we read those out loud, and we apologized, and we burned the papers and let them go. And we called in a whole new set of things we wanted. How did we want to show up in this relationship? How did we want to create the future together? What was our vision? Who do we need to be? Who did we need to step into to make that happen? And it was really beautiful and powerful. And I can tell you that letting go of all those false beliefs that were holding us back and creating new space for us in this relationship was a game changer. And it opened up so many possibilities. We could see each other with fresh eyes. We could understand so much more that we had never understood. And we felt even more deeply connected than we ever had, which I think is amazing, because we were really deeply connected for a long time. It was just patterns that built up and stuff got in the way and life got in the way. It's not easy to live life, let alone live life and love at the same time and be loved at the same time. Woo. So many things shifted. Fights that used to take us, I don't know, like a week to get through, were now taking 20 to 30 minutes, sometimes less. We had these like understandings of the root of where all these challenges were coming from, and things just became more easeful. And then with the ease and the peace we felt in ourselves and in our relationship, we were able to bring that to our children, bring that to our clients, bring that to our careers, bring that to our community. There was just so much more ease and time and energy because we weren't fighting. We weren't feeling disconnected. We felt like somebody had our back. My husband has my back. I've got his back. We are in each other's care. We are a team. And I love how that rippled out. And so if you didn't guess already, we're still together. We've now been together for over 8 years, married 7 times now. We're talking about our wedding for this year. So soon it will be 8. I think. It feels like it right now. And just being really conscious in where we are. It's such a different place. Such a different place. So I can say that after 20 years, 20 plus years of learning about relationships, geeking out over this stuff, and experiencing so many bumps and bruises and personal like heartbreaks and lessons learned, I made this big discovery. I just had this profound clarity that what we were doing in the past was a lot of Band-Aids. They're helpful. They feel nice in the moment, but they don't last. They don't get to they're not providing the surgery that is needed for the deep, deep wounds that need extra love and care in a very specific way. And I just had this understanding now of, okay, this is what needs to shift. And I also discovered that it wasn't just me that needed to relearn how I was loving. It was Jamin. It was my clients. It was the whole world. We all need to relearn how we love. It's just not something we talk about. It's not something we were taught about. And what was really cool is this discovery that we're not alone. I'm not alone in this. I'm not screwed up. It wasn't my fault. And when I went through this process, what we discovered only led us to something even greater, even deeper than I could have ever imagined. So I want to share today that if you've been struggling with feeling lonely, if you've been struggling with feeling like you're not in the same team anymore, that this is also not your fault. And I want to make that really clear. You didn't do anything wrong. So let me ask you this question. It's a very important question. Very important. I just taught a class recently, and this is a big one that we spent a lot of time talking about. And it's present for everyone. You ready? So my big question to you right now is, where did you learn love? We all learned love. We did. At some point in time, we all learned love. We learned what it means, how you quote unquote should be in a relationship, and what that means for you. And we took these ideas, probably most of them were cemented in us before the age of 7. Those are some old ideas, and they may not be the most accurate ideas. And we took those ideas and we brought them with us into our relationships now. And they are causing a lot of pain and struggle. So let's pause here. We're going to go deeper into that in just a moment, but let's receive a breath first. Go ahead and close your eyes. And open when you're ready. You still with me? There's a lot of story, but I want you to feel it and know what I've been through and know that you're not alone in this. And even relationship coaches struggle. Like we're human. We're all human. This is like a human experience is what I discover. I've coached hundreds of couples around the world, and this is the human experience that I keep finding over and over and over again. So if you're still with me, drop a 1 in the chat. Go ahead and move your bodies a little bit, wiggle, shake. Cool. And we'll come back into this space together. Yeah. And I want to share something new. Well, hopefully it's new for you. Something to think about. All ready? If you're ready, drop a 1 in the chat. Drop a 1. If you're ready to continue on. You good? All right. Ones. Cool. Let's do this. So here are the 5 transformational shifts that teammates make. These are the shifts that Jamin and I made. These are shifts that I've seen so many healthy, happy, successful, long-term teammates make over and over again as a couple. So I'm going to run through all 5 of these in more detail, but here they are. First, you're going to choose a different path. Second, you're going to get curious, lean in, and trust in love. Ooh, that's a big one for a lot of people if you really start feeling into that statement, trust in love. 3, you're going to prioritize and protect your team. 4th, you're going to keep a clean house. And 5th, you're going to access wisdom proactively. Let me break those down for you. Here we go. The first transformational shift you need to make is you need to choose a different path. I mean, you need to escape the system that I was in, the system that you are probably in. So here's some examples of the system and Band-Aids. I've mentioned quite a few Band-Aids already today. You can think of your own. Can it think of some Band-Aids that you have experienced in your life? Things like, I read a relationship book. I worked for a short time with a therapist. I went to a tantra retreat. I did what my parents did. I did exactly the opposite of what my parents did. Here's a bunch more. You go to your friends for advice. You go to Google. Google, what do I do with my relationship? The things you learned or didn't learn in school, most of us didn't learn very much about relationships and being in a relationship and communication in school, though it would have probably helped us a lot at that age had we learned those skills. Or you've gone on more vacations or you've had more intimacy, like this will save us, right? And it's like these were all just Band-Aids. They don't go to the root. They don't go to really what needs to be there. So the first thing the first big transformational shift that I see teammates making is they choose a different path. So let me share with you a little story. These are Sarah and Chris. These are clients of mine, and they're quite amazing. And I want to tell you that they came to me. Let's see, where were they at? So they came to me. They had been childhood friends. They were now married. They've been together for, I think, over 20 years at that point. They have a child together. They're a successful businessman and counselor. And they really wanted to feel like they could be connected again. Over time, things had just not worked. And they'd tried everything. Had a bookshelf full of relationship books. She's a counselor. They'd worked with therapists and counselors already. It was just like they kept trying and trying and trying. They were going on like more camping trips together to see if that would help, but it just wasn't working. And so they eventually hit this wall where their desires to break out of the pattern they were in were just not working. And they're both feeling super exhausted. Have you ever felt exhausted in your relationship? Been type of one if you felt exhausted in your relationship or by your relationship. Yeah, they're just feeling exhausted, like they've been trying so many things and it wasn't resulting in the sense of connection they used to have. They didn't feel like they were teammates. And they were beginning to lose hope. And eventually got to the point where the word divorce had even crossed their lips. And that was so terrifying. They had discovered my work through reading my book, Relationship Agreements. And they decided that they wanted to try something really different than what they had done before. And so they reached out to me and they said, hey, we really want to try this thing that you do. And we want to have fun. We miss having fun. And my program, yes, we learn, like, it's a lot about learning new skills and really relearning love. But at the same time, you get to learn how to have fun together again. And it has a lot to do with dates. I like to joke that I become people's dating dominatrix, because I send them on dates where I've designed them for them. They use science and somatic-based learning, and they're going to actually integrate these tools into your system by doing them and trying them out in real time and getting support from me. And so, at each date, I would tell them, okay, Sarah, you're the date night driver this week. You're taking the lead. Here's your written instructions. Here's your video instructions for how to do it. Check it out. If you have any questions, I'm here to help you design this date. Chris, you're the co-pilot this week. You're the follower. You get to surrender into the mystery of what's going to happen on this date and see what happens. And I get to coach them both through that. And then the following week we'd switch roles. Then Chris would be the date night driver and Sarah would be the co-pilot. So it's a lot of fun. It's really cool. And we discovered that this was a big sticking point for them in their relationship. This was a hard place because over the years, there'd been a lot of resentment that built up around dates and going on dates, where it felt like one person was always initiating or waiting for the other person to initiate, but they wouldn't. And even if they did initiate, it didn't feel like it ever actually happened. Like the date actually never happened. And once in a blue moon, when it did happen, it didn't feel connective. It didn't feel like enough. It didn't feel like it was enough nourishment for the relationship with how many withdrawals were happening from the relationship bank account. So that was really tough. So they came to me and they said, okay, we want to try this. And so they entered my 4-month private coaching program called Relearn Love. And in it, I got to work with them on many different things about how they relearn love and send them on dates. And I can remember one specific time when Chris was leading a date. And this was the big challenging sticking point in their relationship, because for them, they had this history of Chris not initiating and not following through. And Sarah just kept feeling more and more let down, more and more abandoned, more and more triggered. And Chris wanted to. He wanted to show up. What I had discovered is that early in the relationship, there were some patterns set where his work, his effort wasn't appreciated. And it just brought up all this stuff that was there from well before their relationship around not being good enough. And it got to the point where they both had their matching core wounds that were a little bit different, but they kept poking each other, were just being irritated. And so it got to the point where they weren't able to have these dates because there were so many old stories blocking them. And they needed permission to break out of those old stories. And so it was so beautiful because I got to coach them. I do coaching on WhatsApp at the same time. So it was I was able to give him support outside of our sessions and just say, okay, what's coming up for you? What are the emotions? What are the things that are there? Let's really figure out where you learned this pattern. Where did you learn about love? And uncover that and then work together to create something totally new, even though it might be scary. And we did. And they had incredible dates and they learned whole new ways of connecting. In fact, let me just share this with you. It was a beautiful quote that Sarah shared with me. She said, it has been a wonderful experience working with Ari. On a walk this morning with a girlfriend, I was telling her how my husband and I have made more progress and peace after 1 month with Ari's tools and tips and guidance than 1 year in couples therapy. The therapist was great, but our life was transformed by the tools and techniques that Ari gave us, which a therapist didn't do much of. Working with Ari was a compassionate experience where I was allowed to feel everything and not be judged or analyzed. It was just so beautiful. It was beautiful. It was beautiful to witness their transformation and see them feel like they were on the same team again and feel like they could come back into that. And they get to model it for their kid, right? Their daughter gets to see exactly what's possible when mom and dad are connecting and they feel like they're a powerful team again. It was so beautiful. It was so beautiful. And now she's even learning a lot of the same tools, right? She's seen her parents model these different ways of being with their emotions, of communicating, of being in connection together, of prioritizing the relationship. And now she's seeing that. And guess what? Her model is going to be as she grows up. What is she going to look for in a partner? How is she going to show up? What is she going to ask for in her relationships? It's so cool. I love when there's a ripple effect in the work that we do. When we relearn love, there is always a ripple effect, whether that's into your family, that's into your colleague, with your colleagues at work, because they start asking you questions like, what is going on in this relationship? How come you two are so freaking happy? Or into your religious communities, things just shift. And that's so cool. All right, so let me share with you the next thing. This is the next transformational shift that teammates make. Second one is they get really curious. They get really curious. They lean in and they trust and love. So let me share some things with you. So let me first say that it is okay to doubt yourself. Okay. I don't think a lot of people give themselves permission to doubt themselves. So it's okay to doubt yourself. And it's okay to have fears that you might not be able to do this. That you might not be able to get back to feeling like teammates again. It's okay. It's natural. It's normal. We all have our doubts and our fears and our worries. It happens. But what I want to say is that those nasty little voices in your head are just nasty little voices that are trying to keep you stuck and they're holding you back. And it makes sense to me that a part of you is scared that you might not be able to rebuild the trust or feel safe or feel seen or feel heard or feel acknowledged or feel accepted in this partnership. I get it. Been there. And if you can create enough space within yourself to get curious and say, but what if? But what if it is possible? And to lean in to the possibilities, even when things feel hard, or even just a little bit hard. You don't have to wait till they get bad. Like there are little moments every day when you're like, oh, I could get more curious. I could lean in a little bit more. I could understand the meaning behind what's happening for myself and for my partner in a whole new way that will really help us to trust and love. I want to tell you a little bit about something my husband likes to say. Jamin likes to say that at any point in time, you're either in pattern or you're in practice. Patterns are all the things we keep doing over and over and over again and getting the same result. And it's not the result we usually want. And sometimes it is. But if you're feeling like you're stuck in a pattern of I keep doing the same thing and I don't like the outcome, then maybe it's time for you to shift into a whole new practice. And a practice is where you're intentionally choosing to do something different. So if you are holding back, if you're like, oh, these things we're doing over and over again are not getting the results that I want, then maybe it's time for you to try on a new way of thinking, to get really curious. Curiosity is one of the most incredible tools for building a healthy relationship. When I see couples choose to like go to say, okay, I hear all of this chatter in my brain and I'm putting it aside, I'm going to lean in and get curious and show up right now with you, babe. That's when magic can happen. So choosing to be in a new practice and knowing like, what is the practice that's open to me? This is massive. Let me tell you a little bit about Sean and Irina. These are two of my clients from Bali. Backstory that these two are entrepreneurs and lovebirds, and they'd been in several really amazing relationships in their lives until they met each other, and then they were like, whoa, this is so different. This is so different in such an amazing way. And they each felt like, wow, I think I found my person. And that was really a neat experience for them. And at the same time, they kept on triggering the heck out of each other in how they communicated and what they brought up in each other. They really had this deep desire to figure out, who are we as a couple? Do we have a shared vision? Where are we going together or not? Because this is so unique and it feels so magical, but it also feels hard. It also really feels challenging. And they've been together for about a year when they came to me. They had found me. How did they find me? They found me originally through, I think, networking. I think that was a referral. But when they found me and they came and they talked to my team and I, they really were at this crossroads where it's like, well, we've been together for about a year, and now it feels like we need to make a decision, and if this is going to work or not. And there was a lot of internal conflict too, of like, is this the right thing to invest our time, energy, money, energy, resources, all of that into right now? Or do we just kind of keep going and figure it out later on? And inside, they each were really filled with a lot of fears around their ability to follow through with such a big commitment. Is this really the right thing? Can I do this? Can I lean into this kind of vulnerability and this kind of connecting and learning about love? And can I trust that we can learn to love in a whole new way? What if I can't make this work? So there are a lot of these stories going on inside of them, and they just hit this wall where they felt like, we have to get clarity. And we have to feel like we're in each other's care if we're going to continue, because there's magic here. There's also some stuff that wasn't super healthy. So they had this idea, let's go work with Ari. They joined my 4-month Be Learn Love coaching program. And within this, they had to make some big decisions. They had to make a big decision, first of all, to invest in themselves in this way, in a relationship in this way, which was kind of new. And second, they had to let go of their old stories, and that they wouldn't be able to rebuild some trust that had been broken between them in those first few months. And they had to also let go of the story that learning a whole new way to be together, learning a whole new way to communicate was going to be too hard, right? They had to let go of that story, and they had to say, okay, well, maybe we can learn these tools. Maybe it won't be too hard. Maybe it'll even be fun. And maybe the result of all this work of learning something new will result in something amazing. So I loved working with these two. They are like such sponges, and they were like, okay, whew, let's just do this, Ari. Like, okay, let's do this. And I love this quote from Sean when we were getting towards the end of our time together. Because I always say, it's okay if you want me after 4 months, but I don't want you to need me. I want you to have all the tools and all the things you could possibly need to navigate whatever comes up in your relationship going forward. If you want to go deeper with me, great. But otherwise, I don't want you to need me. And so at the end of our time together, Sean told me this. He said, the overall theme that has really resonated with me is seeing that with the right skills and commitment, any relationship can turn into magic. It's beautiful. It's like, if you really want, if you're committed and you want to make this work, you both are committed and you both want to make this work, you can lean in and let go of all of your stories and just trust and love, and you learn the tools and you learn them together, that any relationship can be magic. I'm going to say that with a small caveat. If it's an abusive relationship, that is different. And if you feel like you're in an abusive relationship, please reach out for help, from professional help, and seek guidance on what to do in those situations. That is the caveat. All right, everybody with me still? Drop a 1 in the chat if you are still here. You ready for number 3? Great. All right, here we go, guys. So the third transformational shift that teammates make is they prioritize and they protect their team. They prioritize and they protect their team. This is huge. So it can be so easy to point fingers at every reason why this relationship isn't working. We're too busy. We don't have enough time. I want to do this work, but my spouse doesn't want to do this work, right? It's like there's always another, oh, we have kids. We have kids. We have busy careers, like everything. There's so many different external factors. We're gonna be like, this is obviously why this is not working for me or for us. And I just want to say that that is not the mentality that teammates, strong teammates, think with. Instead, they really prioritize and they protect their team. This is a mistake that I made. I was not prioritizing and protecting our team enough. My couple was not at the top of the hierarchy. And when I found that when the couple is the top of the hierarchy, like self-care and taking care of ourselves is a huge piece of that, if not number one. But when we are really looking at where does our time and energy go, we take care of ourselves and we bring it into the relationship and we make sure that our relationship is in a healthy spot. So when we do that, so much magic is able to come out. So we, I just know that life is not easy, and living life and loving at the same time is even more challenging. And so we had to really look at how do we intentionally create space? How do we take all those excuses and all those things we're saying are like influencing us, and we say, all right, fine. That yes, that may be true, but it's not the thing that's actually stopping us. We can choose to make more time. We can choose to lean into something different. And that can be super scary. You might even feel some fear or some shame around the idea of what would it be like to prioritize this that way? What would it be like to get help if we wanted to get help in relationships? Even thinking about getting help can be super triggering for people. I'll talk more about that more later on. But really looking at what's there for you, and are you too choosing to let all the external crap fall away and you two really focus on yourselves and your love and your relationship and creating the most incredible team that you possibly can, knowing that when your team is solid, so many other things are going to fall into place with so much more ease than what you're experiencing right now. Because how much stress, okay, let me ask you this question. If you've ever experienced a day where you've had some sort of situation happen in your relationship and it has caused some friction, and then let's say you go out into your day and you're supposed to be able to do something like have a meeting, think clearly for driving your kids to school, whatever it may be, but you just can't stop thinking about what's going on in your relationship, the conflict that's there, the disconnect. It feels like it's dragging you down. You can feel like that weight on your shoulders and in your chest. And like, it's like everything is sapping your energy and you're afraid of the next one you're going to pick up your cell phone and see something more triggering from your partner, right? So if you ever experienced that, drop a 1 in the chat. Yeah, it's been there. It's there for all of us. And the thing is, it doesn't have to be. So if we are moving more into a place of being connected, this is where the real magic can happen. This is when we're prioritizing our team, because when we are more on the same team more often, what do we get? The opposite. What was it like when you were newly falling in love? Remember that energy you brought into the office? Remember that energy you had with your family? Remember that energy you just moved through life with and the creativity that flowed? It's like that. I want more of that for you. They make it very clear that all relationships have 3 phases. There's harmony, disharmony, and repair. Again, harmony, disharmony, and repair. And the teams, the true happy teams, know that there's these phases. And instead of spending a lot of time in the disharmony, they recognize when they're in a state of disharmony, and then they have the tools and they have the knowledge to move into the repair and through the repair quickly to get back into harmony. And then they celebrate being in harmony together. This is massive. This is massive. And this is what can happen when you are prioritizing and protecting your team. Let me tell you about the 2 pies. A really amazing coach once told me, he's like, so many people look at relationships and situations that come up in relationships like there's 1 pie. It's like, okay, this situation just happened, this conflict just happened. And now I'm like, yeah, you're 80% responsible for what happened. And I'm like 20% responsible. And they see it just as 1 pie. But true, healthy relationships see 2 pies. There's 2 pies. I'm 100% responsible for co-creating this situation. And you are 100% responsible for co-creating this relationship and this situation together. So what can we take responsibility for, and how can we do this together? How can we take responsibility to not let the external factors dictate how this relationship is going or how much we feel like teams, and instead really look at how do we come together? What can I own? How can I show up? How can I push all the other assumptions and excuses away and be here for this relationship? Make space, choose this, prioritize this. Okay. I'll tell you a quick story about two of their clients of mine. These are Rob and Eve. So when I met them, which was after I was on speaking tour, and it was after a big event. And when I met them, Rob was a senior executive at a very well-known tech company, and Eve is a successful attorney. And they had been together for a long time and had the most amazing magical romance. They'd lived in many different international countries together, and now they were thinking about having children, but they weren't sure that they were really aligned. They weren't sure they were really on the same page on everything. And they were super busy with such incredible careers. They'd really invested so much of their time, energy, and resources into their career growth. And here they are looking at shifting a lot of that to step into being a family. And were all the important things aligning for them or not? And externally, they really wanted to feel ready to be parents and feel like they were on the same team. But internally, they were harboring a lot of fears. They were having fears that their spouse would not actually show up and do the work and figure out this relationship stuff and pull their own weight in the relationship and potentially in parenting. And they each were also carrying this a feeling of shame and fear that if anybody found out that they were working on their relationship, that it could hurt their social status, that they wouldn't feel, that they would be interpreted in a way that was negative instead of positive, and that people might think that they're broken. So they hit this wall where they realized they're just not really aligned anymore, and they weren't, and they just wanted to be aligned. They could be, they knew they had the potential to be, but so many core things felt like they were at odds, to the point where they even were considering the word divorce in this journey. And that's when we started talking of like, where are you? Where are you? What do you need to do? And they made a decision to relearn love. And they joined me in my program. And in this time, they learned how to make space and prioritize their relationship, to really protect it, even though there were so many external factors that were pushing up against it, and to talk through the big things that need to be talked through, and to heal the deep wounds that had been there for so long that they thought that their partner was causing the conflict, or they thought that all the external pressure was causing the conflict. But what they needed to do was relearn how they love. And when they did that, they fell back into connection in such a deep way and were able to get clarity on what they want to do with their family. When they leaned in, this clarity just came. It was so beautiful. Let me share this. They said, we were considering separating. The biggest thing that came out of this was us reconverging in our life paths, being more understanding of where each other is coming from and making it work in a way that feels good and not forced. The transformation was getting both of us on the same page, bringing us to a space of understanding and giving us the same vocabulary and levels of openness when it came to what was possible for our love. Wow. Let's receive a breath here. Go ahead and close your eyes. All right, 2 more to go. Everybody good? You still awake here? All right, go ahead and drop a 1 if you're ready for the 4th one, the 4th big transformational shift that teammates make. All right, give me some ones, give me yeses. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, we'll keep going. Here we go. The 4th one is that these teammates really keep a clean house. And what I mean by that is we talked about all the things that I swept under the rug, that Jamin swept under the rug, that most people sweep under the rug. It's the feelings of what I call the wobble. Something's off in the relationship, but it's much easier to not deal with it and say, it'll be fine. It'll resolve itself. We won't talk about it, or we'll fight later on, but it'll pass, right? Instead of sweeping things under the rug, they clean their house. They take the rugs out and they shake them. And they don't wait until the last minute. They don't wait until the rug is like, they have to climb up a mountain to get on top of the rug. They're like, we're going to keep the house clean now. And we don't need to wait until things are falling apart to really work on this. They are proactive. They're proactive. They're seeking help now when the times are good, because what I see happen so often is that couples will come to me when the word divorce has already been uttered. It is so much harder to heal when you come to that point. Still possible, but so much harder to heal. If you come earlier, when things are good, when your nervous system is calm, when you're open and receptive to working with each other, knowing that, yeah, things aren't perfect, but they can be, and they can be even better. It's very different Your ability to learn new skills goes up dramatically when you're not under stress. Your ability to learn the things that honestly we probably should have learned in school is just so much, you're so much more open. And you're not under the pressure of, oh my gosh, we're in the middle of a conflict and now we're supposed to apply this new tool we just learned that we haven't integrated yet, that we don't understand really why we're doing this or how it works or what the benefits will be. It doesn't work. It doesn't work as well. It can work, but it's really not as helpful as those who choose to be proactive. Keep a clean house. Don't wait until it's too late. Just be proactive and lean in and learning the skills and integrating them into your system now, so that when the time comes where you need them, they're there and they're a part of your culture that you've created as a family, as a couple. So I'll give you a quick story. Jamin, we've been together for a long, long time. And when we started dating, I was already a relationship coach. And I was like, okay, well, I really want you to learn a couple of these tools. And I taught him like one or two of my favorite tools. And I can remember his resistance. He's like, that is just so weird. No one talks like that. Who talks like that? And I was like, but like, this works. I know it works. Like, I'm not just making this stuff up. Like, it's been scientifically studied. Like, we have so much information on this. We know it works. Come on. And he was just resistant. And in his stories, he's like, I know how to like handle conflict. I'm a great communicator. He's a great communicator. If you ever check him out, he's got his own TED Talk and like he's got 8 books, and he's a great communicator, amazing speaker. And he was relying on those skills and relationships to like get him through. But let me tell you, they weren't working. Like, he would keep doing the same things over and over again, being so frustrated that we weren't moving out of a place of disharmony and into harmony. It was just like, what the heck? And finally, I can remember where we were in this day. And we were in the place of disharmony, and he pulled out the thing that I had asked him to learn, and he said it. He just said the line, and everything changed. All the energy that was building up, more that fight, flight, freeze, fawn energy, fawniness, people pleasing, all that was building up. It just went, oh. And all of a sudden we were able to be back in connection again. And he was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that just worked. Why doesn't everybody talk like this? I'm like, because we didn't learn it. We didn't learn it. If we just learned how to use these tools, we just learned how to be in a relationship with other humans. These tools also work for in the office and with your kids, by the way. So when you learn these tools, all of a sudden everything just comes together. And it's amazing. And you don't have to wait until things are blowing up and falling apart. It's like, you just use them. Learn them now, use them, make life easy. Get more time back in your day, get more energy. It's great. Oh, let me tell you something that Angela shared. She shared, Ari is absolutely awesome. She has a way of connecting with people with such ease. Before I even knew it, I was discovering things about myself that I didn't even know were holding me back for many years. I didn't realize how much I was stopping myself from being my true self. My kids have seen a difference, and my husband and I had an absolutely amazing date, which we haven't been on one in over 2 years. Working with Ari has helped me feel empowered, curious, and alive again. Yeah. That's what happens. That's what happens when we just learn that love can be easy. We can be on the same team. V shared this. She said, I am so stoked to work with Ari because she's opened up the doors for me to do my emotional work. I was able to hang in during the darkest moments when I felt I was ready to give up, and able to show up for my work only because she found a way to guide me safely and with curiosity through the journeys I have with my partner and with myself. I never realized that such a depth of work was even possible. Thank you, Ari. Let's talk about the fifth big shift. If you're ready to do that, drop a 1 in the chat. Last one. Okay. The last big shift is really to access wisdom. I call this the Yoda immersion. We as a culture in general love. We all want to be seen, heard, and loved. And we love finding examples of couples that are working. We love looking to the celebrity couples that are out there and getting inspiration. We love finding people who are doing the thing that Disney told us was possible. And at the same time, there's this weird dichotomy where no one was really taught how to do this well, as we saw earlier. And there's almost this, not even almost, there is a sense of shaming that comes from a lot of our families, a lot of religious institutions, a lot of media pressure, where it's like there's this idea that it's okay for you to, if you're becoming an entrepreneur, you obviously are going to go out and get a business coach and learn how to run a business. And if you're wanting to pick up tennis and learn tennis, you're going to hire a tennis coach. Of course, like why wouldn't I collapse time and learn how to do this quickly and learn the best way from the beginning instead of making a bunch of mistakes and trying to figure out on my own, but never really learning from someone who already knows how to do this, right? And I see this over and over again, this pressure of like, you're supposed to be good at love. You're supposed to be good at relationships. And yet, if you really pause and think about it, and you look around and say, who do I know who's really rocking this? Are my parents really doing it? Some maybe. Are they happy? Maybe they're a long-term relationship, but are they happy? Are many of your friends really doing it? Do you have people you actually know who are doing this? And this is the big thing. If you want to be in a healthy relationship, I encourage you to immerse yourself in an environment with people who are emulating that for you. Find the couples that are doing the thing you want to do. Go hang out with them. Ask them, how did you do this? What's working? How do you get through the hard times? Go work with somebody who can be your guide. Go work with a coach or therapist who knows exactly what they're doing. Go put yourself in that situation where you can get new ideas that break your old patterns so you can move into those practices. Go be with people who can hold you accountable along your journey. You say you're going to do this. Are you doing it? You say you're going to show up for your relationship in this way. Are you doing it? And they can check in on you and hold you accountable. This is a big piece of the work that I do in my Relearn Love program. It's really looking at who are you emulating and how are you doing that and how are you being held accountable and how are you celebrating with them too? This is a big piece. How are you celebrating? It's so easy to just say we're going to do this thing and then move on to the next thing we're supposed to do. We as a culture are really bad at stopping to celebrate. And it's that celebration and that being witnessed that really helps it land in our system, helps us integrate it. Oh my gosh, we just did that hard thing. We just applied that tool. We just uncovered this thing about ourselves. We just had the most amazing fight, I'll say, our way of handling conflict in front of our children so that they have a new model of how they can handle conflict instead of them having to guess what mom and dad did behind closed doors when they could hear them yelling. Like they now have the tools. So the big transformational shift that I see teammates make is they give themselves, I call it a Yoda immersion. They find their Yoda. They find people they want to emulate. They find the guide, the coach that they feel like is a really, really great fit for them. And they go and they learn and they apply it. Justin said, Ari is more than a relationship coach. She's an amazing guide, teacher, and friend. I'm so grateful for every minute spent with her. And Aaron said, Ari helped me completely transform my beliefs about relationships. In every session with her, I learned something that fundamentally changed my worldview for the better. I'm forever grateful for her help in bringing me more peace and joy and love than I've ever felt before. So much is possible. So much is possible when we really learn, when we really relearn love. So again, these are the 5 transformational shifts that teammates make. I'll just give you a quick recap. First, they choose a different path. Second, they get curious, lean in, and trust in love. Third, they prioritize and protect their team. Fourth is they keep a clean house. And fifth is they access wisdom proactively. This is really important. These are the 5 big shifts. Drop a 1 if this is resonating with you. Are we getting this? Yeah? Ooh, we're jiving. Awesome. So let me ask you a question. I love this photo. I just shared so many things with you today, so much. It would make sense to me if you might be feeling a little overwhelmed, and that is okay. Let me just tell you that this is a lot. This is a lot of things that I wish that we had learned earlier in life. that many of us, most of us did not. So I want to know, let me ask you a question. If you're not, if you are here and you're feeling maybe you're feeling overwhelmed, maybe you're not, but if you would like to learn how to do this, and if you would love my help with it, can you drop a 1 in the chat? If you would like to learn how to do this and would like my support in it, go ahead and drop 1. Beautiful. Awesome. Thank you. So I'd love to show you how I can help. If it's okay with you, I would love to tell you more about my Relearn Love private coaching program for couples. It'll take probably a few minutes, 5 to 10 minutes. So if you're okay with that, go ahead and drop a 1 in the chat, letting me know. Yeah. Awesome. I'm really excited to share this with you. Really excited. Thank you. Before we go there, let's go ahead and receive a breath. All right. With your consent, may I continue? Give me a 1. Give me a 1. You ready for this? Who's ready to relearn love? Got it? Nice, nice, nice. Okay, here we go. So you are invited. You're invited to my one-on-one Relearn Love journey for couples private coaching program. This is my baby. This is my joy. This is my passion. This is what I am called here on this planet to do, is to help people relearn love in ways that I really believe is for everyone. So this is for anyone who's in a committed relationship and wants deeper intimacy. Your partnership can be 9 months, 7 years, 50 years long, doesn't matter. We all have so much that we can learn and unlearn, relearn about love. So if you've shared your life journey with someone long enough to know their quirks and you're ready to take the ordinary and make it extraordinary, then this is for you. Carly once said, I truly feel like we have a tool belt full of marriage equipment ready for us to strap on and make an incredible life together for us and in the future for our children. And by the way, they just had a baby recently. Thank you. This program didn't just impact this generation, but it impacted several generations to come. I love it. I love watching whole families transform, couples transform, families transform, everyone around them transform just through learning, just through relearning love and what's possible. So love is really worth investing in. And I think most of us weren't given that understanding growing up. It's like you invest in your education, you invest in your careers, you invest in becoming good at a hobby, but we don't learn how to really invest in love. And yet it's the thing we think about most for most of us. We think so much about love and how we want to be loved and be in relationships and like, how can we have that ease? And when love isn't there, we feel it. And, you look at the divorce rates now. I mentioned it earlier, divorce rates are well over 50%, especially after COVID. And it's sad. It doesn't need to be. And it's such a costly thing. I mean, just looking statistically, the average cost of a divorce is $23,000 US. And that doesn't even account for all the other factors, like how most people need to have therapy and put their kids in therapy, and the other challenges that come up, and the amount of time and energy lost, and productiveness and creativity lost, and just the anxiety that can be brought up, or depression. Like, it can take a huge toll on you. Divorce is not fun. Separating is not fun. In fact, our brains can't even comprehend separation. When you break up with somebody, the closest they can come up with is death. They feel like somebody you love died. It's a huge thing, and the grief can take a long time to heal from. So instead of putting ourselves through that, I think it's far healthier, far better for our souls in the long run to really learn how we can relearn love and how we can build strong teammate partnerships. And I've been through so much. I've been through it all so that you don't have to. I have over 2 decades of personal experience in relationships. Again, Jamie and I have been married for 8 years, 7 weddings so far. I have a degree in sexual psychology, and I have read hundreds, if not thousands at this point, of relationship psychology, self-help, communication, and developmental books. So I can take all the golden nuggets that I have collected over the years and condense them. And I have over 10 years of being a relationship coach on top of 5 years of leadership development work. And I've spent well over $200,000 on training and working with some world-renowned coaches and therapists, and going to incredible retreats and just figuring out like what actually moves the needle, what actually creates the sense of being a team, and what actually shifts when you relearn love, and how do you do it in the fastest, most efficient way possible so that you can not have to spend 2 decades learning all the same things I learned. I can actually do it again so that you don't need me after 4 months. You've got it. You're ready to rock. You want to go deeper? Great. I have three couples now that I've worked with for so long that they've all become relationship coaches, and I'm still working with them. But watching them roll out and have a big impact in the world, where they came to me not knowing if they were going to stay together, and now they're relationship coaches because they just want to keep going deeper and they love geeking out on the same stuff I love. Like when you see the world changing through your love and what is possible, and you giving permission to the world to change and love more, it's like, oh my gosh, everybody can have this. It's so cool. And in my program, not only are you going to work hard, you're going to learn a lot of cool tools and things, but you also to play hard. I mentioned dating. Going on dates with your significant other, with your beloved, is so important. And this is your chance to learn how to really go on dates. What is a real date that leads to connection? How do we break out of the old patterns and the old recipes and instead create something new and spicy and fun? How do we have fun together? It's not just going to talk therapy. It's like we're going to uncover a lot of stuff. It is going to be some hard work. It's going to be transformational. It's going to dig into the emotions and figure out how we be with emotions. Most of us didn't learn how to be with emotions. And now we're also going to have some fun, and we're going to be silly, and we're going to be playful. We're going to remember how much we love to laugh with our partners when we felt like we're on the same team. We can have that again. We can be fun and playful and silly and just enjoy life again. This is something that Stephen shared. He said, I just wanted to take a minute to say thank you. I am so very grateful for you and for what you've been in my life. I'm blown away that somebody I have never met in person, high-fived or hugged, has had such a personal, intimate, and profound impact on my life. I'm very grateful to have you and for the impact you've had on my life and our lives and us as a couple. I see the evidence of your impact, and I know we are now capable of handling anything that comes our way. I am so grateful for you. Thank you for all the things. So let me just invite you to pause here. Let's receive a breath. Why not? Go ahead and close your eyes. You can keep your eyes closed while I just share this with you. In your mind's eye, imagine that you have already relearned love. That instead of eggshells, you feel truly expressed with your partner. You finally relax and know that you can trust and love, and that you did the work to be here. You're having fun and feeling connected like you've always wanted or like you used to. Other couples take notice and start asking you, how did you guys do it? Your connection has a ripple effect on those around you, including your colleagues, your community, your kids. You feel re-energized by your love, motivating you to be more successful in your career and embrace your health and your wellness. You can be fully you because your partner will appreciate you for who you are, and they want to bring out more of you each day. And you tap back into the joy and love you first felt when you started out in this relationship and when you felt like teammates together. When you're ready, I invite you to take another deep breath into all those feelings. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. I just want to let you know that this is your crossroads. Now you have two choices. You have two choices. First, you can take everything that you learned today, and you learned a lot. I threw a lot of stuff at you, so thank you for hanging in there. And you can go ahead and you can try to apply it on your own. Some things will work, some things won't. Some things will stick, some things it's just that it'll last for a couple days, maybe a week, maybe a month even, and then you'll go back into the old patterns. Or you can choose a different path, and you can choose to invest in your relationship, in being teammates, and learn exactly how do you become better teammates again? How do you both relearn love? I invite you to just really lean into that. Maybe now is the right time. Maybe it's not. Wherever you are is exactly where you need to be. But if you feel like now is the time, something in you is alive and awake and ready to shift, then I invite you to join me. I'm going to drop this link in the chat right now. You can go to realinlove.com/private-couples-coaching. And just check it out. This is the Realer in Love program. And when you click on the little link, it'll bring you to the site for my love liaison. And you'll get to talk with a member of my team and just learn more about this program and how it might be a great fit for you right now. And if it's a great fit for all of us to work together, I'd love to welcome you into this and show you so much is possible when you really learn love. Show you that you can be teammates again. I know it. I've seen it with hundreds of couples all over the world. I know it's possible for you too. So if you're feeling the call to go ahead and make that powerful shift in your life, in your relationship, then go ahead and go on to this site. All right, so we're going to pause here. I'll stop the recording. We'll take some Q&A. If you have any questions that came up for you along the way, I know I threw a lot at you. We'll go ahead and stop here so we can answer all those questions you may have. And if we don't get to them all, then you can always send me a little email or a message on Instagram, and we can be in touch, and I can support you more along your journey. I'm looking forward to speaking with those of you who the Realer in Love private couples journey feels like the right fit for. And if that's not the right fit for you, then there's lots of other ways to get involved with Realer in Love, which you'll find out more about through my newsletter or through my website or my Instagram posts. But there's always options that can meet you wherever you are in your journey. This is just the most profound, impactful, long-lasting thing that I can give you. So with that, I'd love to stay connected. Thank you so much for joining me today, for staying with me through all of this. I know it's a lot, and it's such incredibly impactful work that can be done for you, for your family, for your team. You can find me on Instagram at Coach Ari Kardosh or at realerinlove.com. And again, if you click the link below for realerinlove.com/private-couples-coaching, you'll get a chance to talk with my team and I about working together in a 4-month private coaching journey. Whatever way we interact, I am so glad that you're here and you got to have this information today. Thank you. I'm so grateful to you for choosing to invest in yourself and in your team. It means a lot, and the world is going to be a better place just through all of us taking the time to relearn love. Again, thank you so much. Looking forward to staying connected. Bye.